I never imagined I'd be fired by my wife's sister. I'd always pictured that moment differently. A quiet HR office, a polite talk, maybe a folder slid across the table. But life rarely follows the script. Instead, I found myself in conference room B, standing across from Ivy, my wife's sister, and the CEO. Around 15 people were there. Interns, assistants, a few managers. My security badge lay on the table in front of her like evidence. She picked it up between two fingers and dropped it into the trash bin beside her. The sound of it hitting the bottom echoed through the room. Then she said it, calm and cold. "Your value has been reassessed to 0. The interns stared at their coffee cups. One of them gasped. Ivy smiled, pleased with her performance. I didn't respond. I just stood there, hands behind my back, and thought, you have no idea what you've just done. 18 months earlier, when our company had secured Series B funding from Everlock Capital, I'd made sure of one thing. A clause in that agreement, Clause 14C, stated that my termination without investor consent would be considered a material breach of contract, carrying a $45 million penalty or full equity seizure. Ivy had never read it, so I left quietly, without argument. She thought she'd humiliated me. In truth, she had just destroyed her own company. At home, I poured myself a glass of wine, opened my safe, and pulled out an encrypted drive, my archive of every important document, email, and contract. I found the covenant, scrolled to Section 14C, and smiled. Then I called my lawyer. 2 words, activate 3.7, that was our signal. He would immediately notify Everlock Capital of the breach. By the next morning, chaos had already begun. Screenshots from Slack flooded the internet, interns asking where the client files were, managers realizing they didn't know passwords, and Ivy posting motivational quotes while everything burned. The CFO, Gregory, texted me repeatedly, "Please call me. We have a situation." I didn't reply. I just watched. Within 48 hours, the company missed an audit, forgot compliance submissions, and lost major clients. Their new operations head, a lifestyle influencer named Leela, told staff they would manifest a solution. It was entertaining in a tragic way. Then word came that Mitchell, Ivy's father and the company's founder, my father-in-law, was flying home from Italy. He arrived furious. Witnesses said he stormed into the office shouting, "You fired who?" In the conference room, he pulled up the funding covenant on his phone and read it aloud, my name appearing again and again as essential. Personnel. Ivy tried to explain it as a modern restructuring, but Mitchell stopped her cold. "This isn't LinkedIn," he said quietly. "This is survival." Gregory whispered the number everyone dreaded. "The penalty is $45 million. The room fell silent. Ivy's confident smile vanished. Mitchell simply said, "We need to call him." When they finally called, I didn't pick up. Mitchell left a voicemail, offered triple salary, full control, a board seat. I'd already told my lawyer to refuse any offer. I didn't want my job back. I wanted the lesson to last. The next day, Brandon Fields, Everlock Capital's lead auditor, arrived at headquarters. Precise suit, no small talk. He placed the contract on the table, pointed to Clause 14C, and asked calmly, "Do you have the $45 million penalty, or should we just take the keys?" No one answered. Gregory finally stammered, "We're $27 million short. Even if we stop payroll." Brandon nodded once. "Then we'll proceed with asset seizure. Our legal team will send documents within the hour." Mitchell just stood by the window, silent. Ivy sat frozen, her career collapsing in real time. Her assistant, Tucker, tried Googling what asset seizure meant. The rest of the executives just stared at the table. By the next morning, it was over. Everlock's lawyers delivered the official notice. The company's assets would be seized and transferred. Mitchell read the papers and said quietly, 72 hours expired. They had missed the response deadline. Ivy broke down completely. "I'll call him," she cried. "I'll give him whatever he wants. Quadruple salary, full control, my office, he'll come back." Mitchell looked at her with exhausted eyes. "He already declined." She stopped speaking. The room went still. Everyone understood that the company was finished. While they sat in that silence, I was nowhere near them. I was hiking in Tahoe, breathing mountain air, miles from cell service. I already knew what was happening. The meltdown, the phone calls, the lawyers. I just didn't need to watch. When I reached the summit, I sat down, ate a sandwich, and felt peace for the first time in years. Later, when I returned to service, my phone lit up with hundreds of messages. Everlock had completed the seizure. The company was gone, and the contract for operational restructuring had been awarded to MK Advisory Group, my own consulting firm, the one I had been quietly building for 2 years. The next morning, I drove back to the office, not as an employee, as the consultant in charge of rebuilding the company. My firm's name was now on the wall, MK Advisory Group, Strategic Control HQ. Through the glass conference room window, I saw Ivy sitting pale and silent, Mitchell beside her, Gregory clutching his head. Our eyes met. I gave her the same small nod I had given her the day she fired me. Then I walked to my new corner office, the one that used to be Mitchell's. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had results. The company that threw me out now worked for me. Sometimes, when people say your value is 0, all you have to do is wait for the math to correct itself. Thanks for watching. If you like, PL, subscribe and like.